All right, lesson 17. We're all in here. We're on page 61, areas of rectangles. Okay, so area. Will someone read to me about area? Destiny, why don't you pick us up? Area.
Area is the amount of surface of a figure. The diagram on the left represents the surface that is 4 feet long and 3 feet wide. On the right, we show how this surface can be divided into 12 squares. All the sides of the squares are 1 foot long.
Beautiful. So we've got a 3 foot by 4 foot square there. And if we cut it up into the dimensions that it shows us, you can see why the area. You guys know that area is going to be length times width of a rectangle, right? So we've got 3 feet by 4 feet. And if we actually take that 3 foot by 4 foot square and chop it up into its pieces, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 1 foot by 1 foot squares. So that's where that foot squared comes in. This is 1 square foot. And you have 12 of them total if it's 3 feet by 4 feet. So everyone get that, what it means? The feet squared, so 12 feet squared, because there are 12 square foot. Okay? Beautiful. So there are 4 squares in each row, 3 rows, so we get 12 squares. If there were 6 rows of 4 squares each, then there would be a total of 24 squares. So a 6 foot by 4 foot square is going to give us 24 square feet. Like I said, I think you guys are good on area. We just got to review this because we're going to add another dimension to it today, where we have to figure out the areas of irregular rectangles, okay? Where there's a couple different rectangles all put together. So for example, 17.1, how many 1-inch square tiles would it take to cover this figure? It's a 36-inch by 24-inch rectangle. So what would we do with those numbers? Jarvis, what would we do with those numbers to figure out how many square inch tiles we're going to need? Multiply them. If you multiply 36 inches by 24 inches, what do you get? If you multiply 36 inches by 24 inches, example 17.1, how many tiles do you get? 864. Beautiful. 864 tiles. Make sure we give it that little label, okay? So we've got that box at the bottom of the page. We always got to take notes of boxes. Area of a rectangle is length times width. Okay, like I said, I think you guys knew that. We're just reviewing. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. Okay? Area is measured in square units. So we could have square units, where you've got the units, and that's squared. We could have feet squared, if feet is our units. We can have meters squared, if meters is our units. Inches squared, so on and so forth. So whatever dimension it tells you, if it's asking you for an area, okay, that means it's got 2 dimensions. It's got a length and a width. 2 dimensions is why it gets that little 2 up in the top. Okay? If we added a 3rd dimension, volume is our 3rd dimension, which we'll get there later on. Okay? That's when that 2 is going to change to a 3, because we have 3 dimensions. So for now, keep in mind, 2 dimensions means it gets the little squared up next to its units. Okay? Easy enough. So, we've got our exponents. You guys understand that? The units get multiplied together. Length times width. So, for example, 17.2. Let's look at that one. When we've got a rectangle like that, you guys have practiced this sort of problem with perimeter, but now we're going to do it with area. Okay? So, if you're given a shape, for this example, you're given that you have a side of 6, 4, 4, 12, and 2. Okay? And we need to figure out the area of this shape. Alright, so for this shape, your job, eyes up here please. Your job, eyes up here. Eyes up here please. Okay? Up here is going to be to cut this rectangle up, or this strange looking shape, into rectangles. Okay? There are 2 easy ways to cut this shape into rectangles. Can anyone tell me the first way? Jarvis? Okay, straight down. So we could line down like that, right? So what, Jarvis, are the dimensions of this rectangle that you cut? How wide is it and how long is it? If I keep my area of a rectangle, we need length times width. So what's my length? 4. 4 and 6, exactly. So this shape, what would the area of it be? 24. Whatever the units are squared. Okay, I don't expect you to put it in there if you don't want to, but make sure your answer includes it. So you've got 24 takes care of this shape. I do agree. So based on everything else you know, what are going to be the dimensions of this box now?
12.
Okay, this is where we need to be careful. So this is how we're working on perimeter. Make sure that you're looking at just the box that you've got. Okay, 12 includes this part of your rectangle. Exactly. So 12, you knew this little part was 4. So 12 minus 4 gets you the 8 right here. Beautiful. So 8 by what? 2. Exactly. He knows it's 2. My pictures are never to scale. I do apologize about that. But 2 by 8. So inside this box, Jarvis, what's going to be the area of this box? 16. Good. And so to get area, if you know that this one's 24, so there are 24 little boxes inside this rectangle.
And you add 16.
Exactly. And there are 16 little boxes inside. So we've got to add our number of boxes. So 24 plus 16 gets us 40, and our units were centimeters. So my answer, Jarvis, would be 40, careful, cm2. That means squared. Okay? cm2. 2 dimensions, cm2. Okay? So, you guys saw we split it that way. We took care of it one way. Now let's look at the other way that we could have split it. Okay? Jamaica, Jarvis split it here. How might we split it if we were to split it a little bit differently? Ideas?
Keep the line going across whatever.
Exactly. Keep the line going across there instead. Okay, so what is this box right here? What are the dimensions of this box?
4 and
4 and 4. So what's the area of that box?
4.
16. Beautiful. So there are 16 little squares in that box. Okay, now what about our big box here? What's its width and length?
2 and 12.
2 and 12, exactly. It's 2 tall and 12 long. And 2 times 12 is? 24. Okay, and we saw this one, if you split it, you're going to get the same. How? It's 12 long, right?
No, because at first you said on that side it was 2.
Right, over here it's 2.
And then on that
and
side
12.
6.
6 is this whole thing. 6 is from here to here is 2. From here to here is 4. So it's the same as when you did that 12 and we had cut it off here and you had to take away the 4. Here, you have to take away that 4, so that's where that 2 comes in. Again, my picture's not to scale, so it is a little confusing, but as long as you see that 4 takes care of part of the 6. So that's what you mean to graph 12 by 2. Okay? Beautiful. So, again, 24 plus 16, we get 40 centimeters squared. Okay? So you can see we can cut it into 2 different types of boxes. Alright? And that is our only example. The only other thing I want to call your attention to, I need all eyes up here. Okay? When we've got a shape like this, I think we talked the other day about how you could just do 12 twice and 6 twice. You remember that? For perimeter? We kind of extended, rather than have it cut in like this, we put this 4 over here, and we sent this 8 up here. Does everyone remember that? Yes? Okay? One way, if you want to do area, is we can take the area of our big rectangle. Okay? So what would the area of our big rectangle be? What would we need to multiply by? How long?
6 on each side, 12.
6, exactly. So 6 times 12 is what? 72. 2 times 6, or 12, carry the 1, 7. So 72. And then we can take away the little box that was missing originally. And what do we know the dimensions of that little box are? careful, the dimensions of this little box. How tall is this little box? From right here up? How tall is it? It's 4. I put my 4 out here. 32. Okay, so this, if we've got a whole box of 72 and we take away the box that was missing, you said it was 32, 4 times 8 is where those dimensions came. We get the same, right? 40. So 40 centimeters squared, 40 centimeters squared. Both ways, you can split the rectangle down like Jarvis did. You can split the rectangle across like Jamaica did, or we can take away the area, and we'll just give Destiny's name to that one since we have 3 of you, okay? So there are 3 different ways. They are all correct in how we find the area of a rectangle, okay? Whichever one you feel more comfortable with, go with it. The only thing, again, to take note of is like example practice C. That one's going to be a little bit harder to do the 3rd way because it wouldn't turn into a regular rectangle. There'd be no easy way to take away the part that's missing, right? So if you decide that you like that way better, just make sure for those irregular shaped ones that don't have a regular rectangle missing, that we be careful with those. Okay? All right, practice A, B, and C. All yours. Do those. Practice A, B, and C. Do those practices, and then we shall